to Book Talk. I'm Sonia at the Stickney-Forest Public Library, where I talk about 3 books each month. This month's theme is immigrant stories. So I read a few immigrant stories, and I have a variety for you. I'm going to start with Carnegie's Maid by Benedict. So this imagines Andrew Carnegie's maid. Andrew Carnegie was a real figure. He was a very successful businessman, and then he gave a lot to charities, and he established a lot of libraries. And this imagines a maid that comes from Ireland that gets to work for him. So she's an Irish immigrant, and it's not really based on a real person, but it imagines that he forms a friendship with this maid, and that she's going through the struggles of being an Irish immigrant, and she reminds him of his roots. He was also an Irish immigrant, and she inspires him to establish these charitable acts that he does and giving money back. And he established a lot of libraries. He did a lot. You can look him up, but it's not really all about him. You get to see him and his mom and his family and society at that time. And the maid is pointing out that you shouldn't be all about society. There are the lower classes and there are the working classes that need some help. So this is very good. I really liked it. Benedict is an up-and-coming author. She wrote The Other Einstein, which imagined the wife of Albert Einstein, and she has another one coming out in January. So Benedict, take a look at her books. Very good. I recommend it. So the next one I'm going to talk about, actually, I read as an ebook. So we'll put cover up here, The Leavers by Lisa Ko. This is also American immigrant story. So a Chinese young woman from China comes to New York. She pays a lot of money to get here, kind of under the table. She has a son. She raises him. She works hard, raises him in New York, and then one day when he's like 10 years old, she disappears. What happened to her? So you get the story from his perspective, the son, his name is Deming, and you get her perspective, and you eventually, it's not a spoiler because you get her perspective in the future that she's alive, but the question is, what happened? In an interview, the author says she based it on real life stories that she was reading about in 2009 when she started writing this book about parents and children who were taken away from parents who were illegal immigrants. So that was happening, in 2009, and she was inspired to write this story, and this was, so timely. It came out right around the time that this was happening in the Trump administration. So it's very interesting, and it was a good story. It was heart-wrenching at times, and it was like what happened, and the characters were very well formed, and I felt for them, and I was into their stories. And there's even another couple that comes into the picture, the couple that adopts Deming. They want to adopt him, and then they adopt him, and they change his name, and they do all of these things that they think are for the best, but it's really misguided. They change his name to Daniel. It's so weird. So anyway, I recommend this book. It was really good. Lots there, and good meaty immigrant story. So for my final immigrant story that I'm going to talk about, this one just came out in the last, not this year, but last year, Pachinko by Min Jin Lee. Now this is not an American story. This is about Koreans who are immigrants in Japan, and they are dealing with a lot of prejudice and unfairness, as a lot of immigrants do when they're in a foreign country. So it was interesting to read about this perspective. of how the Koreans in Japan were treated. And this spans a couple of decades. It starts in about 1911, and the one girl, there's a lot about honor in here, so sometimes the whole culture about honor and their decisions, I'm just like, what? Why are you making that decision? But as you can see, it's kind of long, but I was into it. It went really fast. It's a multi-generational family saga, if you will. And I was I was interested the whole time. It's long, but it goes, like I said, it goes by fast. There's the romance in the beginning that I really liked, and then it's like, oh, she decides not to stay with him because it's not honorable, because he's with the mob. But really, you're pregnant, and aren't you gonna do the best for your kid? But yeah, it's just that whole the different culture. It was, as you can tell, my reaction is so from my cultural background. It's just so different. It's like, what are you doing? There's other characters in here too who make these honorable decisions that it's like, no, don't leave college. Anyway, you have to read it. I don't want to spoil it. But Japan, Koreans, the mob. Fun fact, I was looking back on my books this year, and I've read 4 books this year where a mob boss falls desperately in love with the main girl character. And I just think that I didn't do that on purpose. It just happened to do that. I just happened to read those books, and I rated all of those books really highly, like 4 and 5 stars. So I just realized I like that factor in my books. So Immigrant Stories, check them out. I'll leave you with a little teaser. Next month I'm going to do my favorites of 2018, and I'm going to talk about an immigrant story, an immigrant memoir of a girl from Rwanda who comes to America. It's a memoir, and it was one of my favorite books of this year. So stay tuned for one more awesome immigrant story and my favorites of 2018. And happy reading.
If you enjoyed this video, please like the video and subscribe to the Stickney-Forest View Public Library's YouTube channel. Also, like and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. The Stickney-Forest View Public Library District, where great things happen.